Spain faces a humanitarian and diplomatic crisis after thousands of Moroccans swam to reach EU soil. The arrival of the migrants today and yesterday at the enclave city of Ceuta in North Africa comes amid a row between Morocco and Spain.
Spain has deployed troops to Ceuta to patrol the border with Morocco after thousands of migrants swam into the North African enclave city. This comes amid heightened diplomatic tensions between Spain and Morocco. Local TV footage shows soldiers in armored vehicles guarding the enclave's beach as dozens of migrants emerge from the water while hundreds more stand on the Moroccan side of the fence between the enclave and Morocco. Authorities are transferring the adult arrivals to a local football stadium to be deported back to Morocco. Ceuta police sent back 2,700 migrants to Morocco. At least one person died during the crossing. Ceuta has a population of 80,000 and is located on the northern tip of Morocco across from Gibraltar. Ceuta has long been a magnet for African migrants trying to reach Europe. It's separated from Morocco by a double-wide 10-meter-high fence. The arrival of the migrants takes place at a time of increased diplomatic tension between Spain and Morocco. It's about the leader of a militant group who is in hospital in Spain. Spain said on Monday that Brahim Ghali was accepted into Spain on humanitarian grounds. Ghali's Polisario Front fights for the independence of Western Sahara. The US in December recognized Moroccan sovereignty over Western Sahara. Morocco deplores Spain's decision to admit Ghali, saying it will have repercussions for bilateral relations. Ceuta's president links the sudden migrant influx to Morocco's relaxed control of the border. The Spanish government officially rejects the notion that Morocco is punishing Spain for a humanitarian move. Spain's Prime Minister said on Tuesday he would visit Ceuta and pledged to secure the border.
America and the EU have been tit for tat in tariffs since the previous US administration. But now the European Union is agreeing to a partial truce with the US over metal tariffs. They also want to discuss China's trade practices. NTD's Patrick Hayden has more.
The European Union has agreed to a partial trade truce with the United States in a dispute over metal tariffs imposed during the Trump presidency. The EU says it will suspend a planned hike of retaliatory tariffs for up to 6 months. Products tariffed would include sportswear, cosmetics, doubled tariffs on bourbon, motorbikes and motorboats. In a joint statement, Brussels and Washington say, as allies, they could promote high standards and address shared concerns. They say that includes holding countries like China that support trade-distorting policies to account. They both are also seeking to work on a solution for the global oversupply of steel and aluminum. The head of the EU Trade Committee, Bernd Lang, says the United States needs to come to the next EU-US summit with a tangible commitment to reciprocate the EU gesture. Otherwise, tariff hikes would be justified. Patrick Hayden, NTD News, London.
The Israeli military announced that a top Islamic Jihad commander was killed in an airstrike on Monday. This comes days after they handed Hamas a severe blow, reducing the terrorist group's ability to launch rockets into Israeli communities. NTD's Jason Perry has the story.
Senior Islamic Jihad commander Hussam Abu Harbid was killed in an Israeli airstrike. Abu Harbid led attacks against Israeli soldiers and civilians for the past 15 years. This was one more major deterring blow to terrorist groups in Gaza. In an interview with Skype News London, retired British naval officer Colonel Richard Kemp said the latest Israeli military maneuver to destroy the terrorist tunnels in Gaza was one of the best he has seen in his career. The Israel Defense Forces, or IDF, on Thursday lined up their ground forces, including tanks, artillery, and infantry along the Gazan border. The world media picked it up, and Hamas saw that the Israeli military was staged on the border for what appeared to be preparation for a ground invasion into Gaza. Hundreds of terrorists in Gaza began running into their underground tunnel network, known as the Metro, which contains weapons, command and control facilities, and shelter.
They went down into there, and immediately they were inside. The IDF then attacked those tunnels with 160 aircraft, which dropped JDAM bunker buster bombs and destroyed large parts of the tunnels. And then when some of the terrorists came out, they then got hit as well from the air. So it was I think, as you said, a strategic victory, really, for Israel, which will probably prove to be a turning point in this conflict and really hit Hamas with an absolute body blow.
Israel destroyed over 9 miles of underground tunnels in Gaza. The Israeli prime minister does not plan to let up anytime soon, and he says he will do what is needed to keep Israeli citizens safe.
The directive is to continue to strike at terror targets. The IDF is doing well. Today it has eliminated another senior Islamic Jihad commander. We have hit a Hamas naval unit, and we continue to strike at underground infrastructure, the Hamas metro, and other targets. We will continue to act as necessary to restore peace and security to all residents of Israel.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has discussed the situation in Gaza with Qatari, Egyptian, and Saudi foreign ministers, but there is still no ceasefire in sight. Jason Perry, NTD News.
Chinese state-owned media is threatening the U.S. and its allies. It says China would be able to defeat the U.S. in a war if the war were to take place in Chinese waters. This is after Beijing simulated an invasion of Taiwan during military exercises. NTD's Don Ma has more.
The possibility of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan may be more likely than ever. This as the Chinese regime's People's Liberation Army, or PLA, simulated an invasion of the island last week. The PLA Navy practiced one of the most important maneuvers needed to invade Taiwan. That is, beach landing drills. Taiwan is surrounded by water, so an invasion by sea is one of the only methods. The PLA Navy released a video showing that the exercise involved an amphibious military transport dock, landing crafts, and armored vehicles. The Chinese Communist Party, or CCP, has never ruled Taiwan, but has long claimed it as its own territory and has never ruled out annexing it by force. Chinese state-owned media Global Times says the exercises are to prove to foreign countries that China has the ability to conduct a reunification by force operation on Taiwan. It says these exercises act as a deterrent for foreign forces who provoke China. Despite the warning, the U.S. and its allies conducted joint military exercises the following day. The week-long exercises aimed to counter Beijing's aggression in the region. The U.S., Japan, Australia, and France participated. The drills took place on Japanese soil and surrounding waters and were the first of its kind. They involved urban warfare and amphibious operations, including the defense of remote islands. The Chinese state media was quick to denounce the joint exercises. It called the exercises insignificant. It also doubled down on its previous threat to Australia, saying that Australia will be the first to receive a missile attack if it interferes in a conflict over Taiwan. The state media also issued its strongest threat yet to the U.S. It said, with China's strength, it needs to make the U.S. be increasingly sure that if the U.S. launches a war with the People's Liberation Army in China's adjacent waters, it will be defeated. Don Ma, NTD News.
Atlantic blue crabs are an iconic seafood item in the Americas. But now an invasive species in Croatia has started wiping out the local eel population.
Picturesque Croatia, known for its beautiful mountains, gorgeous Mediterranean beaches, seafood. But there's an unwelcome addition to the seafood that hasn't gone down well there. Atlantic blue crabs, which are an iconic food item across the American eastern seaboard, cropped up in Croatia as an invasive species about 20 years ago. And now, the locals say the crabs are wiping out their own food delicacy, a type of eel.
The blue crab shows up sporadically, but around 2016 they appeared in big numbers. And then a need arose to catch them commercially and to control them, because they do huge damage to the fish and shellfish populations.
The Neretva river eel was already in decline due to loss of their habitat, but the blue crabs have dealt a major blow. Glamucina says about 50 years ago, the local fishermen would catch about 150 tons of eels annually. Now, it's a mere 10 tons. Making matters worse, Croatians simply don't want to eat the crabs either.
It will never become part of our cuisine because it's too alien of a species to us.
Klametsina, the professor, says some crabs could be sold to the big luxury hotels for foreign tourists, but there isn't enough to make exporting it financially viable.
That's the news for today, and thanks for tuning in. I'm Stuart Lees.